I forget what the technical term is, but they have like a term for that stuff that like if you're recording a concert, like an empty mic stand against a backdrop, kind of like eyesore kind of things. But good eye, Eddie. Good eye.
Called Vickery.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Vickery.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just made it up because it sounded cool.
Hello and welcome to Fake Philosophers. I am Mitch, and with me is Mike and Eddie. Mike, of course, of bartending and audition fame.
Mitch, ITL award winner.
And Eddie, notorious Holocaust denier. Today we're going to be...
Holocaust survivor and denier.
Survivor and denier. Cheers. Today we realized that we've just passed a benchmark of we've released 20 episodes, a few mini episodes, but 20 actual honest podcast episodes, and we've.
Oh, that was wrong. Wrong one. That was the wrong soundbite.
As you can see, we've learned a lot.
There we go. 20 episodes.
That was fucking gold.
Should we even celebrate 20 episodes?
That was fucking gold. We're desperately looking
more than 19.
We're desperately looking for a producer. Anyone out there can, or an engineer or something, but
something come do things for us. We'll talk.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for
thank
watching.
You.
And as a little tribute, we decided we're going to go through some of the comments on the videos that we posted all these on YouTube. It's just the easiest, and some people have actually been kind enough to leave some comments. So we're going to go through and try to get through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the first episode, the pilot episode. It was it was me, Mike, and Danny at the table chatting, and we had Eddie send in recordings to kind of give little intros or whatever. So we got some comments on that. We got 5 comments on that one.
Mm-hmm.
First one from Ryan Martin. That's his YouTube name. I don't know if that's his real name, but anyway, he says, "I want to counter reason with you guys so bad. ... You guys actually agree with Mike, or is this classic groupthink?" Another ellipses. "Good show, though," ellipses. "It's relaxing to just listen." Is that the right word, right? ... is ellipsis?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Is ellipses or ellipsis?
Yeah.
Okay. "It's relaxing to just listen." It's still the same comment. "It's relaxing to just listen to people talk about stuff." Another ellipsis. "Felt like I was at a bar with duct tape on my mouth. LOL." He left another comment. "Good job. Keep it up." Ellipsis. "I'll continue to watch." No punctuation on that. So thank you, Ryan. Your grammar is impeccable. Alexis Sonif. "Woohoo, go Michael."
I have a fan.
And there's an option to translate to English.
What is it?
I don't know. Anyway. And then last comment from Yay Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
YAE in capitals, Teddy. "These 3 men are too handsome. Unsubbed." So
wait, I wasn't in the first episode. Okay, so never mind.
Yeah. Will.
So thank you for those comments, Ryan, Alexis, and Yay Teddy. Episode 2 was political, the first political, where Danny and Mitch talked about masks.
It's good times.
We have one comment from Mary Bell, who says, "Mitchell, your belches are an embarrassment. 1 out of 10. Work on that tone."
How could you?
I had teed it up for that one, right? I mean, how was I not gonna?
Yeah.
How was I not gonna?
Mary Bell's not going to listen to another episode
because of my belches. Well, darn it.
Scrolling through the no comments.
Okay, yeah. So episode 7 was the next one. We got comments on episode 7. Okay, so episode 7 is called "As Opposed to ?" Part 1. I don't remember this episode.
I think this one was.
There's been so many.
We were chatting about. I forgot the details, but like we were talking about. It was one of those stream of consciousness episodes, and I think it was like, oh, like if someone said, "Oh, well, I guess like you can go left or you can go right,"
okay,
as opposed to.
Oh,
it was like it wasn't that, but it was something like that.
Yeah. Oh no, it was the discussion on you can come if you want to.
Maybe
was that it?
Maybe.
I think. Anyway, there's no description in it, Mike. So
What? Yeah. Yeah, there is. Right here.
What?
Yeah, you're right. It is You Can Come If You Want. It's right. It's in the description right there.
Oh, I didn't see the drop down. Okay. The one comment from Tim Connolly. This discussion is poggers. Poggers. Eddie, do you know what poggers means?
Pogs were like a game that was in high school where it's like you had like a bomber and you would hit it and it would be like no, I don't.
So poggers. Okay. Well, anyway.
So
I'm going to look it up. We got the internet at our
there
disposal.
you go.
So.
The next episode, while Eddie's looking that up, the next episode with comments, because we get so many comments, obviously.
Yeah. We skipped through 3 episodes. One
Stop.
What?
Basically a type of emoji used in Twitch which looks like a surprised frog. Instead of using the word awesome or epic, users would send poggers emoticons.
So it's a compliment then, I think.
I guess so, yeah. All right.
I would interpret it as such.
All right, so then the next episode with comments is episode 9, Conversation Starters, which was the 3 of us, I believe. Yep.
Okay.
And Tim Connolly commented again.
I believe that was the first.
Thank you, Tim.
I believe that was the first of the Mitch's lists.
It may have been.
Cool.
Tim commented again, this show needs more jump cuts and star wipes. and Tim Connolly commented again on it. I don't approve of the alcoholing.
Well,
now I know who that is,
yeah.
and he means it in good spirits.
Yeah, spirits. I'm on.
Everybody got that.
I'm looking through. I'm on episode 13. Political. Episode 13. Political. This is where we discussed. Mike and I discussed Afghanistan.
We don't have any comments before that?
No. Well, I didn't see him. Anyway.
No, you're right. Go on.
So episode 13. Political. We talked about Afghanistan. This is from Kronak a month ago. Drone strike by Trump. You're probably thinking of General Suleiman from Iran.
Yes, because I think we were talking about
That's right.
the strike he made.
Yeah. And we commented back. That's the one. Thanks for the input.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. We actually asked. I remember we asked, like, if you know who we're talking about.
I'm glad you're listening for once.
Thank you for
Wow,
listening.
and commenting, and thank you very much for that comment.
So the next
I was gonna
one.
say compliment.
Oh yeah, I got you. The next one was Eddie's rant about titled "The Desire to Come to the United States," talking about the Afghanistan refugees, and I believe Eddie compared the people trying to come here to people protesting. To which Sylvia Taylor commented a very thoughtful comment, 2 comments. I'll read it out very quickly. I want to also say thank you. Oh, wait. Sorry. It was like in...
Hold on. Cut. Back to 1.
Because like the first comment was below the other one. Anyway.
Gotcha.
She said, yes, we in the U.S. have a lot to be grateful for. However, oppression does still exist in this country. We still do not have an equal rights amendment. In the past couple of years have really brought light to an underlying injustice towards people of color. We are fortunate not to experience anywhere near the... Sylvia wrote a lot. It was a very thoughtful response. I'm not, it's a lot. I'm not going to just throw it all out there.
You'll have to read the comments to
Fine.
True.
We are fortunate.
No, I'm saying like to the audience. If they want to find out, they should read it.
They should. I'll read the second comment that's shorter. Okay. I want to also say thank you to Eddie for bringing our attention to the contradictions presented in the new leadership and the lack of or challenging options that get the Afghan people. I almost went to the office. The options the Afghan people have. And so that was actually a very thoughtful.
Nice.
A lot of the comments have been either trolling us or people we know,
which are our
great.
Friends.
Yeah, I love
friends
that. But Sylvia actually left a very lengthy, thoughtful comment, and I think that's very lovely of her.
Eddie, did you see that comment yet, or have you read that one yet?
I heard about the comment. I didn't respond to it. It's like homework that I didn't get to. Yes. Well, it's a perspective because I think we miss out on a lot in the United States, and we take a lot for granted. And it's comparing the rights we have here, which we take for granted, and rights citizens of other countries simply don't possess. And I think something that kind of harkens on to that, in recent headlines, is there was a general, somebody in the Pentagon staff who was upset that Google wouldn't participate, military affairs and what have you, and wouldn't help us out in terms of AI. And I think that's very interesting because other countries don't have that roadblock. Huh. If you're in that country, you're doing AI, you're going to give it to the government.
Wow.
And they're going to use it to, they'll use it for whatever the hell they want. including oppressing their own population. So, we have that where we could say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to get our fingers dirty. You only have that choice in this country.
But we're pretty exclusive to have that option, huh?
Mm-hmm. Wow. And it would be handy, and it would be nice if some of the population of this country could wake up and, kind of see that differentiation where other countries don't have the concerns that we do. And they won't hesitate to take the freedoms that we take for granted away from us.
Yeah.
I feel like this is about the Monterey Hotel again. Callback. Anyway.
That's a callback. That's a callback to the last episode. You guys need to check it out if you haven't seen it. It was a very good episode. We had fun.
We did.
We had fun.
We had fun.
Was that all the?
Yeah. That was...
Okay. Yeah. Next video was episode 15. This was another Mitch's list. Is 18 reasons to stop drinking. Mike and I actually wore matching hats in that video. It was cute. We have one comment and one reply. It lists as 2 comments, but anyway, this is from Ryan D. Mitchell is buff as fuck. AFFF. I'm just reading that. The reply was, yeah, he is. I didn't write that reply.
To be clear.
At least I don't think so. Okay, sober me did not write that reply.
Just so everyone knows.
Thank you, Ryan D.
I would never admit to people calling me buff.
That's again
a compliment.
Again, that's one of my good friends.
Yeah. So the next one is another one of Eddie's rants, because Eddie is the master of the rant. I actually really like this one, Eddie. The titled "This is a pair of shoes and just the desire to want to be better than I was yesterday." When you talked about going jogging and everything, and the comment was from Julia Park, and it was simply MURI 0 and a broken link, and something tells me that this bot really enjoyed our podcast.
I love.
What? Hey, a listener's a listener. I watched Blade Runner last week. I'm not about to be picky and choosy about who listens to our shit. Okay,
they're going to be equal someday.
Need to be entertained too. Yeah. I mean, they have a boring job. They're written as they're told, and they come across some content that makes them feel good and lets them know that they're not alone and they're not thankful.
Do androids listen to electric podcasts? That was a deep reference. I don't know if you got. That's a sci-fi.
I got that.
You got it.
And Eddie, I challenge you. Say that these androids, these AIs, want to feel good, but could I say that they just want to feel?
Fuck out of here. All right. Next one is episode 17. Similar one. What was in this episode? Stream of consciousness. Mm-hmm. What's the description? Mike and Mitch shoot the shit about. Let the conversations flow. Mitch brings Mike rants about bad shopping carts. Ever since you made that, I was in Walmart today. I shit you not, 3 different shopping carts, and they all were just shitty.
Yeah,
I was so mad.
They don't care.
Mad, and I couldn't. What made me more mad is the fact that I could not think of you and your shitty rant.
Thank you. Wait.
This one is. Think of Glenny. That's the new slogan.
A fun video. We have one comment from Zebulon Horst. 5 LBMS and a broken link.
We just need to translate it from Android to human.
Yeah. And we responded, astute observation. Oh, we have 2 likes on that comment. That's pretty sweet.
On astute observation?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, we're interacting with the bots.
Moving through.
So there was it said there was a comment on 18, but it was disappeared or it was erased. I don't know. So on 19, another political, Mitch and I talked about Afghanistan, the California recall, and mask mandates. Ryan D commented again.
Ryan.
I think we mentioned him in it, and because he said fake news, I'd never call you Mitch. There's
no.
There's a lack of pronunciation.
I saw that.
Or not pronunciation, punctuation. I'm sorry.
I think what he's referring to is at the beginning of that episode, I got a call, if you remember.
Okay, so it's supposed to be I'd never call you, comma, Mitch.
Right, like he's not, because when I looked at my phone, I went back and watched this. This is why I know this. I looked at my phone was ringing and I said, "It's my dad." If you remember, I do remember. Dad. If you listen to it in another way, it sounds like I'm saying it's Ryan is calling me.
So it's my dad. It's Ryan.
It sounds like it's Ryan.
Got
so
you.
Ryan, calm down. First of all, I know you've personally called me like 2 or 3 times.
And secondly, use punctuation.
It's not hard, man. It's
Because that, the way I read it was fake news. I'd never call you Mitch. Like he'd call you something else. Like he'd call you M, or he'd call you Mitchell, or he'd call you, I don't know. But if you put the comma in there, we would know that you meant you would never actually call him by phone.
We're never gonna get comments anymore. Now we're just critiquing the.
We've lost Ryan, we've lost Mary as listeners.
I think it's a challenge.
It's all going downhill.
I think we're challenging
Let's
them
Step it up.
listen.
Step it up.
to step up your comments.
Both of
Your
you.
comment quality, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We're trying our best. Clearly trying our best over here. You should.
I don't
You
see
should.
you guys doing anything.
You should meet.
Did you hear our sound bites? Go fuck yourself.
You should
yeah.
meet the quality of the show. That's all I'm saying.
Episode 20. Mike hates
And if you're a bot,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you're a bot, we welcome you.
Think about it. Episode 20. Mike hates Bohemian Rhapsody, Mitch hates the Beatles, and astrology isn't real. By the way, one of my favorite titles ever.
That was a good.
That was a good
Yeah,
title.
That's a very good title.
We had one comment from Ryan D again. Bohemian Rhapsody is extremely overrated, and I also don't like it. It's true. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan's a frequent listener.
Frequent flyer listener.
We're challenging you to make better comments.
You know, the one before where I got a call on it, I told my friends, hey, listen to that one because I give you guys a shout out. So now I get to tell them again, hey, I give you guys another shout out.
And more of you should comment because Ryan's just carrying the load for you.
Because-
Ryan's carrying you on the back.
Get on the comments.
All right, next one is
Last one, right? Last one?
yeah. As far up to this viewing,
Right.
because we could be frank and transparent. We record multiple episodes at a time and post them.
Yeah.
As of right now, the last thing posted on our YouTube is a rant by me called "All Right, I'm about to be the guy ranting in his fucking car for a second." And if you watched it, which you should if you haven't, I rant about a woman who I not encountered, but I just observed her at the store, and I was very irritated by it. And so the comments. One was from Yay Teddy once again, frequent viewer.
Yeah.
I demand the 10 things Michael Glenny can't live without, which we can get to.
Yeah.
The other comment, so context, real quick, just a quick recap on this rant. What happened was at the store, I had like a cart, not full, I was in the express lane, but a cart of stuff. And a woman ahead of me had a cart that was empty, a purse that was sitting up top, and she asked for a pack of cigarettes. The person went and looked for the cigarettes. They did not have the brand she wanted. She took a very long amount of time trying to find the cigarettes for this woman. And when they didn't have it, she said, I'm walking away. I don't need it. Never mind. So she had an empty cart to buy a pack of cigarettes. And she walked away. I checked out rather quickly because I'm a normal human being who's in the express lane. And then upon walking out of the store, she was getting into her car in a handicap spot, which I'm not hating on handicap people. I know handicaps come in all different, shapes and forms. But she did not seem to be handicapped because she was walking fine. Anyway, and it just bothered me that after waiting for a lengthy amount of time for her not to even buy a pack of cigarettes with her full cart, I was irritated. I went on a rant.
Well, now people should really go watch that video now that we've read the back cover.
That was the Spark Notes?
Spark notes of a really long rant.
The 5-minute rant was 45 seconds.
You just it took 5 minutes explaining the 5 minutes.
No, I looked at the time. It was like 40 seconds. Mary Bell, another frequent viewer apparently.
Thank you, Mary.
She said,
you, Mary.
possible she needed the cart to stabilize her walking. It was supposed to be a quick trip. She didn't want to bother with a full-blown walker.
I agree with Mary.
She held me up. She held me up for 5 minutes.
I'm taking the side of Mary over you. Okay, I just want you to know.
If it was going to take a lengthy amount of time, maybe it was supposed to be a quick trip. You should know that that's where you get your brand.
Oh.
As a drinker, I know that this store carries this beer.
Okay.
You should know that this Vaughn's doesn't carry your pack of cigarettes if you're going to the express lane.
Yeah.
You go to the express lane when you feel comfortable. You're there. You know what's going on. You're going in there, in and out. Listen, Mary. You might be rational
and right
and
correct.
and empathetic. I was trying to hurry.
He went there.
Sometimes this is how it is. Sometimes we don't want you to just fix it. Sometimes we just want you to listen to us rant, and
Sometimes I don't need a savior.
Thank you. I mean,
I think he does, Mary. I think he does.
Maybe
And I'm
that's
asking,
just a
why
guy
is he
thing?
shopping at Vaughn's? Why is he shopping at Vaughn's and not at the Mexican market, which is much closer to him? That's what I want to know.
He's actually right. Listen, Mary. I don't need someone coming in and solving my problems.
sometimes this is just a guy thing. We just want to be listened to. We just want to be heard.
You just need to sit there, rub my back,
Leave a like, subscribe.
understand. Again, this goes across the board. Upgrade your comments. Just say, haha, can relate.
I kind of love the fact that this is going to just cause more just shitty comments from people.
If we need more comments, we're certainly getting them.
We'll just critique comments. First of all, you guys, your comments.
Exactly.
Your comments.
I hope they feel challenged by it because you're all garbage right now.
Thanks for listening.
This episode not
brought to you by
your
our
fucking
listeners.
comments. This episode not brought to you by our comment.
Not brought to you by any of you.
Yeah.
You're all trash. The bots are our only friends.
Ryan's pretty cool. He said I was buff. See, we need more of those comments.
Ryan, up the quality of your comments. Keep it positive. Keep it positive.
Just punctuation, maybe.
Yeah.
Not even up the quality. Just revise, proofread.
Proofread.
Yeah.
Send it not a spell check. You spelled it right. But
Yeah. Spelling was on.
And if it wasn't for those comments, that pillow in back of Mitch and Glennie would not have been paid for. So just keep that in mind. Keep those comments coming.
It's true.
It's shit.
We're upgrading our studio every week.
Every week we add a new.
Clearly.
For every comment, we add one little piece of flair to our backdrop.
Flair
It might not be on
most
camera.
important.
It's here.
It's here, believe me. But anyway, to segue.
We were inspired
Yeah.
by.
We were looking through the comments and we saw.
Yay Teddy says, "I demanded 10 things Michael Glennie can't live without," and maybe one day I will do a rant about that because it was commented on my rant.
Yeah.
But for now,
Sure. Well, we figured that'd be a good segue into a quick little Mitch's lists. I Googled a list of things that people can't live without. Turns out Google is very literal when it comes to this because most of the things they said were shit like food and air and water and purpose and stuff like that, which is just dumb. So I found this other article called 9 Things That Americans Couldn't Possibly Live Without According to the Rest of the World. And I think it's rather fitting because 9 things, and you can think of the one thing that to make it the 10 things that you can't live without to answer.
is that my purpose?
If you want.
Sure.
If you want.
Yeah. By the time we get to the number 10, I will think of something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The basic summary: the U.S. has indeed been the butt of many jokes from our friends and enemies overseas. Let's just say the past few years have done little to stem the mockery flowing from abroad. This was basically a Reddit survey put out, and there were hundreds of comments. But this is basically a summation of the most popular things that people overseas think Americans cannot live without. Number 1 is cars. I'm just really glad guns didn't make number 1 because that seems to be the stereotype.
Yeah. I'm sure that might be somewhere on the list. But cars actually make sense.
Yeah.
Because I haven't traveled abroad in a lengthy way. But I do know a lot of people in England and stuff, unless you're in the sticks, don't really have cars as much as we do. A lot of them will take, if they do have a car, they park it and they take the train, they take buses, they take cabs and...
Well,
They take shared cabs. They take a freaking Samlar,
Yeah.
a bike or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like a mobile home camper thing that's basically a cage, and you put people in it and you pay the driver. There's all kinds of. We have regulations and stuff in this country where we can't do that.
it's funny that even in our biggest metro cities, it's still obscure for someone to not have a car.
Yeah.
Even in New York, or bigger cities where mass transit is available, it's still weird if you don't have a car. It's like our culture is just so wrapped around it.
You're right, because even this is a weird reference, but I'm a Seinfeld fan, and even if you watch the show Seinfeld, they even talk about how they all own cars,
Right?
Or even I think they borrow each other's car, but that they park it for lengthy amount of times.
Right.
And they only take it when they need to go somewhere.
Right,
special,
but the thought of not having a car is just,
And it's almost that one thing I think in the show, like, think if you watch a show like George and Elaine borrow Jerry's car. Like, so it's not even like that they all have a car, but they have someone who they could have access to a car if they need it. But no, so I think that's maybe not. I wouldn't expect that to be number one.
Yeah. That's
But
surprising.
I'm not surprised it's on the list.
I don't know. I can't find if this is in order of most popular, but I mean they picked
Sure.
number one, so okay. Number two, fast food.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, what does it say here? We don't love fast food because it's good. We love it because we're all completely overburdened already, and it's the only thing available when we want a quick meal we don't have to make ourselves because fast food corporations have oversaturated the market. Eddie, did you write
And
this?
again, other places have. If you go to other countries, it's kind of like a celebration. I mean, you go to lunch with your friends, or you bring a meal, or there's a cafeteria where you work. Or
Yeah.
you're just going to have a sandwich. It's not that big of a deal. But we have to have these restaurants where you have to drive through. You don't even have to get out of the car, to go into the restaurant. You just get it from your window.
Number three, material consumption. This is true in most places, but from my observation, it seems to go to another level in America. Everyone spends so much time discussing the latest thing they bought and how great it is. Cannot live without material, because I guess maybe, I mean, there are plenty of examples of free markets in the world, but I think America might be one that's uniquely built its culture around it. It's embracing of liberty and freedom and minimalist government, and also a free market and buying shit.
And we're the
maybe,
most in debt. We're the most in debt, and we're the youngest country too.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, but I think you're right in the sense that without going into the political aspects of it, I think that the material aspect of our lives are enhanced here, to where how many people have you seen on social media post photos of their new shoes,
Yeah.
or their new purse, or
yeah, it's going to be
Like they're-
great. It's going to be great going into the next generation. The one that's being born right now, that's in kindergarten. It's like, your grandparents, I almost bought this. I got a picture of this thing, the dress I almost bought. Oh, and look at what I had on May 10th, 2020.
Yeah.
It was this Big Mac, but it wasn't a regular Big Mac because they put extra sauce on it. Can you believe that? They put extra sauce on my Big Mac, on your grandpa's Big Mac. That's just outrageous.
So you're
Those were
mixing-
wild times.
You're mixing the two, the consumption and the fast food. We're rolling it into one.
Exactly.
well, I mean, if you think about it, how many people take photos and brag about the meal that they had?
Yeah.
it's kind of a
I
similar
did
thing.
last
Yeah.
night. I did last night. So,
And you're also a millennial. You were born in 1887.
we're going to get to that. I've got another list.
That's not a millennial. I'm sorry.
Mitch, get through your list. And
Would that be a centennial?
Fucking rush me. God. I'm joking.
God. Hey, Napoleon.
Number four, air conditioning.
Fair.
Freezing AC.
Yeah.
North Pole AC with double ice in iced tea or iced coffee.
Yeah, that's
Guilty.
weird. They look at you weird if you ask for Eiswürfeln, ice cubes, cubed ice in Germany. You just get it room temperature.
Huh.
Wait, so that was all together?
Including
AC, ice, all that?
No, that ice stuff was in the description of air
okay.
conditioning, but I guess
Including milk. How'd you like to have your room temperature milk? Sweden puts milk in the refrigerator.
yeah, so
Go
does
Swedes.
so does America. But
That's, yeah.
So travel if you want
Germany
your milk
doesn't.
cold, you go to Sweden.
oh, okay.
But no, AC, absolutely guilty. I can't even argue. I can't defend my Americanism. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, especially since the fucking sun follows me to England and shit.
Yeah.
Like when I'm trying to be cold, and I'm like, well, yes, American should be dope right now.
no, just give me AC or give me death.
Yeah. Number five, garbage disposals. Okay. Every time
Why the hell?
Every time an American was house hunting on House Hunters International, the Americans always wanted a garburator. Garburator, apparently. Okay, garbage disposal.
Interesting.
And would be disappointed if the kitchens didn't have one. Why not just put your garbage in the garbage bin instead of down the sink?
You're damn straight. And those things don't work anyway. Excuse me.
Whoa.
I got one that had a full horsepower, and it still wouldn't cut It still wouldn't cut potato peels. Why are garbage disposals so important? They don't, because that's the crown jewel. If you can get a garbage disposal that can take care of the potato peel, that's a good disposal. Otherwise, forget it. It's not worth it.
Well, there's a lot of questions, but I feel like the only things that I've had problems with is like eggshells or.
I had to put eggshells down the sink.
I don't put eggshells.
No, because you're not supposed to, and that's why I don't anymore. But I haven't heard of potato skins. Why are you skinning your potatoes?
Yeah. Wait,
keep the skin on them.
Really?
Huh?
No.
Well, not for russets.
I peel
for gold.
I peel russets.
For Yukon Golds.
Yeah.
Yukon Golds, you keep the skin on, but for russets, no, I peel.
Are you talking about like mash? Are you talking about like baked?
Yeah, mashed.
Keep
mashed potatoes.
Skin on all the time, man. That's
I'll
just
go with
nutrients.
Whatever.
Whoa, that's a different
No, that's
conversation.
dumb.
All right, Americans.
I'm not looking for potatoes. I'm not eating potatoes for health reasons. It's like what? Keep the nutrition on the fucking potato. It's like people who eat wheat bread. It's look, it's still fucking bread.
You're adding 5 to 10 minutes on your cook time because you have to sit there and fucking peel potatoes. Just keep the skin on. Be a grown up.
Oh my god!
I bet you cut your crust off your pizza and you throw it away.
For a good steak dinner, if you're the baked potato that comes with that steak dinner, if I eat the skin on that's high marks too, because you took the time to salt that skin on that baked potato, and yeah, I will eat it.
Do you eat the skin of baked potatoes?
I don't know actually.
Yeah,
I might.
You're so foolish.
No, because I'll even like just chop up potatoes. I usually get red potatoes.
Okay.
And I'll just chop them up and like saute them in a pan and just eat them.
Redskins.
Yeah, because they're red.
Russets,
They're
yeah.
red potatoes.
Okay,
They're
no,
not russets.
finger potatoes, red potatoes. That's what I'm talking about. Russet potatoes that you make mashed potatoes with.
I'll tell you what. I will, because I normally just buy red for all of them. I'll make mashed potatoes with red potatoes.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
I will buy russet potatoes and I will not skin them when I make mash and I will report back.
Okay, yeah.
Please do. That's fair.
Okay, now we're okay. See, again, we're mad at each other.
The tangent show.
Yeah, tangent. Okay,
Audience, leave a comment.
number 6. Number 6, flags.
Yeah.
Yeah. The description says, "You fuckers really care about showing off flags. Anywhere with lots of flags is a national identity crisis."
That happened after 9/11. That happened after 9/11 more so than anything, because when I was backpacking in Europe, the flag happy people were the Canadians.
Oh.
They flew that thing just wherever. But after 9/11, that's when we got flag happy.
Maybe.
Really? Okay.
No, but I actually agree because this past election, and I'm not getting political, but this past election, I remember me and the girl were sitting having lunch in Old Town Monrovia, and going one way was a guy in a pickup truck with like 3 American flags and a Trump Pence flag, honking his horn, yeah. And I was like, fucking tool, whatever. And then, no shit, 2 minutes later, another truck goes by, 3 American flags, Biden-Harris flag. And I was just like, fucking tool. Like, the fuck out of it. No,
Yeah.
it's flags. No, I absolutely agree with that one.
Flags.
We like our flags.
That's interesting. Never thought about it. I wonder if it's like. I better be careful with what I'm about to say. I'll think about it and then get back to that. Anyway,
Go ahead and think about it.
number 7.
Leave a comment on what Mitch was about to say.
I'll leave a comment.
What do you think Mitch was about to say? Leave a comment.
Look, I'm not a racist, but number 7, things that non-Americans think that Americans can't live without. Number 7 was guns.
There it is.
I'm surprised I made it this far. From the amount of fuss they raise about them, you'd think half of them will drop dead if they lose their gun privileges. First of all, it's more like 20% or something. Like, what's the percentage of Americans that own guns is like actually really small, like 30% or something like that?
I feel like the ones that actually own guns don't make a big stink as the ones that don't own guns who just wish they owned guns.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes back
That's
to
just anecdotal, but yeah.
It goes back to the, outrage on behalf of kind of thing.
Where it's like, oh, wait, you want gun control? But it's our Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
Oh, how many guns do you own? Well, I don't own any yet.
I haven't run into that, but I have run into, there's the truth that like it's a small percentage of people that own guns, and then the gross majority of those people that own a gun own several guns. So like the majority of guns is owned by a very small portion of America that owns just a lot of them. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's just fun facts for you. Fun, ambiguous facts. Number 8, toilet paper. Even before bidets became common in other countries, people used buckets and pails to clean down with there with water. No paper, no waste. It's one thing to know how cheap it is to install one or how convenient it is. It's another to be aware of it, but stubbornly refuse to even try it, even defending the superiority of TP with bizarre justifications. I don't know this to be true.
That makes sense if you go to cultures that are older, because you just use water and some sort of cloth, and if you really want to get fancy, you go the bidet route, and that's a lot more sanitary. But come to think of it, I mean, if you go to ancient cultures, if you go to Thailand or the ancient culture I've been to, you're gonna have like a hand bidet, or there's gonna be another bucket and you just run it down there and just clean it off.
And I get that, and I do know that there's cultures that do it differently, and I've heard that the bidets are really nice, but that's just kind of a weird. Like I consider myself open, empathetic, like open to other cultures, and so like I like to even laugh at Americans myself. But like, if that's what you want to laugh at Americans for, fine. Like I'll use my toilet paper.
Have they been to Europe where you have a pissoir where it's like 2 stalls and there's no like cover. You just go as a man and you just go pee, and it's like there's 4 other stalls and you do your business, and it goes right into the river behind you. Yeah.
Well, according to this is that it was a collection of comments on a Reddit survey. So it was written by a lot of people. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, never mind. Just go on.
Number 9, last one. Things that Americans can't live without: soda pop. Spent some time in the Southwest. Everyone had these enormous refillable beverage containers they would refill with soft drinks multiple times a day. Excuse me. While I agree it is important to stay hydrated, the jugs I saw held 1.75 quarts, and that much fountain drink contains about 275 grams of sugar. Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's
soda pop.
I feel like that's one of those things that someone from outside the United States would point out, but I do think with knowing the people I know that it's not as prevalent.
Yeah, it's like that thing that Americans are fat. When I went to England, it was like I was expecting a lot more skinny people. And I got to be honest. And this might be the fact that I'm from Southern California, where everyone is very model-esque. And they're all very fit and gorgeous people where I live.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I didn't expect to see that many fat people in England. But.
Yeah.
No, but
go to New Jersey. It's like, what are you talking about? You can stay here in this country.
I do feel like that's one of those things like, oh, you're on a 7-Eleven and you're getting a big ass Slurpee and shit. Because most of the people I know now, I would say like 75% of my friends all do like the whole carry around your own water bottle and and we're not drinking sodas. So
we got thirsty all of a sudden. Yeah.
In the week I was in England, I did not see one light beer. But I did see, they may not have the big gulps, but they do get the beers in. So we could go tit for tat on that.
What was the temperature of that beer, Mitch? What was the temperature? Was it ice freaking cold?
No. The beer I had was like I got at any bar in America. It was pretty refrigerated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because usually it's warm.
No, it depends on the style.
Oh, okay.
To my knowledge, there's certain beers that can be served room temperature comfortably, but then other ones you need to serve cold, or else it would just not. It would literally not pour or taste good.
Yeah, it's the same with wine. Like some wines are optimal at certain temperatures.
Yeah.
Sure, like red wines are good room temperature, while white wines are typically chilled.
Right. Yeah. The point I was going to make about I forgot what I was going to make.
Guns?
Something.
The flag?
The flags.
Soda pop.
Flags.
Soda pop? No.
Soda pop. Yeah. Flags. I wonder if, because Americans are gaga about their flags and flying the American flag. I wonder if it's true for Americans that have other country heritage that are waving their other country heritage flags more than they would if they were in that other country.
I think there's truth to that. Because even I've been to Ireland, I've been to Wales, I've been to England. I have not been to Scotland, but the majority of my blood is from Scotland. So I actually own a Scottish flag, and I actually, it's not like waving in front of my house, but I put it up in my garage.
Right.
To where I almost didn't feel, it's almost like the comfortability of being an American, where I don't feel the need. Yeah, but I don't feel the need to I'm American because I'm in America. Fuck, of course.
Yeah.
So but
that's just you. That's your personality too. Is that?
Well, sure. Yeah. But then like that, I don't feel the need to like yell I'm American. So like, oh, here's where I'm from. Like this is, even though I've never been there, my blood. This is my blood.
Yeah.
So I
I've traveled with Americans who do need to do that. Yeah, and it's not.
No, I know some too. Yeah, but that's no, and absolutely. If I'm traveling and I'm in Scotland, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, fucking Scotland, because I'll look like an asshole.
That's awesome.
Because then they're all gonna be like,
time to go to work here.
yeah, they're all gonna be like, huh, no, bro. But no, so I can see that where people will fly the flag of. I've seen people fly the Irish flag because they're Irish, and the Mexican flag. I've seen all sorts
like
of flags,
example on St. Patrick's Day, which is a holiday I know you just love.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Irish flags waving in America by people who are like a 16th Irish, so whatever. I've never been to Ireland. Never been to Ireland during a holiday, but I'm willing to bet you see more Irish flags on St. Patrick's Day in America than you would in Ireland.
Yeah.
They don't
have green beer in freaking Ireland either.
Yeah.
It's like you talk to Irish people and it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yes. and you're right. And I would almost double down and say on Cinco de Mayo, you probably see more Mexican flags in the U.S. that you would see.
Yeah, they don't celebrate it in Mexico.
Yeah, they don't.
See, that was the first example I went to, is because I've been to Mexico and I saw a few Mexican flags. And I've been through LA a few days ago, and I saw a lot of Mexican flags in LA.
Sure.
And it was that kind of like, I wonder if that's just an American culture thing to be uber proud about where you're from.
I personally,
pride of heritage.
Yeah,
pride of
and
heritage.
I actually, I know a lot of people don't like that because it's like, no, you're American. But I actually kind of like that because that was the whole melting pot idea, that a bunch of different cultures.
Exactly.
So I think that's fine, unless, I mean, granted, I guess that part of me comes out where like they're like, fuck, and they like raise their flag while they're stomping on an American flag. Then I'm like, nah, wait, motherfucker. Yeah. But if they're just like, you know what I mean, I'm like, that's different. But if they're just waving their flag, like, yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm like, cool, like that's great.
Yeah, to be proud of heritage.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Interesting.
That's what it
And
represents.
it translates into flag waving.
Americans love flags, no matter how you go about it. If it's the American flag or not.
So I'm going to post this in our chat, and I'm going to segue into something that you guys haven't mentioned. So I'm going to read it off. And this is, and you can look at it, you don't need to. 8 phrases boomers need to stop saying to millennials.
I love this. Go on.
According to millennials.
I love it. Go on. I love it. Go on.
Okay. All right. So
just some background.
Not a boomer. I'm an Xer, but I think
he's an
this is
Xer,
interesting.
yeah.
But I'm talking to 2 millennials right here.
Okay, just some background though. Just some background though. I fucking hate millennials, and I will automatically take the boomers side. Just by default.
Okay.
By default.
This is kind of a political. We're gonna have some. Let's talk.
Let's do this.
All right. I think we need to get Mary in on this. Okay, number 1. That's just the way the world works.
Yeah.
And it goes on to state millennials came of age through 9/11, endless wars abroad, and a recession and a housing market crash made graduating from college and joining the workforce seem, well, futile. Climate catastrophe, toxic politics, racial violence, inequalities, an exhausting gig economy, and a global pandemic have given millennials a front row seat to systematic failures that many boomers didn't experience. So maybe it's millennials who see boomers as having
No.
the world.
Because what I'm going to say is going to undercut everything you have to say.
Fuck you.
So all that political shit aside, all that stuff aside, the fact this is the way the world works is a bullshit thing to say. Anecdotally, an example, when I was in college, I don't think I've told the story even off the show or on the show. We would have like evaluations every few years because we were acting majors. We'd have evaluations with our professors. And I remember it would come up when I was in evaluation, it came up that a lot of the undergrads, I was an undergrad, weren't getting the opportunities to act on stage as the grad students because the grad students had priority. So a lot of the undergrads were talking about having like a club to where the undergrads could do their own plays and get the experience on stage. Because like if there was 100 undergrads, only like 20 of them were actually getting stage time in actual plays. And I brought that up because I was kind of one of the more mature, like experienced people who knew how to run stuff. And I was like, if you ever wanted to do a club, like I could be a key holder, I could kind of help run the club so that undergrads get this experience. And all the professors were kind of like, not all of them, but most of them. And one of them was like, well, you know what? When I was in grad school, there was a ton, or when I was in college, there was a ton more students, and we did less plays. So like not everyone got the chance. So I just don't understand why you're complaining. And in my head, I was like, okay, that's fine, but why don't you want to improve it for the next generation? So because we could debate left and right all those political comments, but the fact is, well, that's just the way the world works is bullshit. Because in my head, politics aside, because you could argue either way politics, why are you arguing that we should just remain the same when you can improve? And that's not taking a political side. That's just saying when you say that's the way the world works, you're dismissing any chance of change, any chance of improvement, anything. It'd be a shit situation. Slave owners in the 1800s said, "This is the way the world works." It's a phrase that's just stopping any sort of progress, conservative or liberal. It's not a political statement.
That's fair. More than anything, what pissed me off was the further explanation of it. And I get this from millennials all the time, and it's why I fucking hate millennials and why they need to shut up. They think their lives are so bad because they went through, what is it? The first thing that they went through was endless wars or whatever.
It said 9/11 endless wars.
9/11 endless wars. So you got a bunch of millennials that are watching the war in Iraq and Afghanistan on their TV, thinking they know what war is. Meanwhile, the boomers were drafted and sent to Germany and Vietnam and all that kind of shit. So, well, I know the boomers weren't in Vietnam, but it's the same
Boomers
kind
were
of
in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Boomers were in Vietnam. Yeah.
Yep.
Boomers were born after World War II.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Greatest Generation, but but baby boomers being drafted and sent to Vietnam. So don't start comparing your trifles of today with legitimate problems that were back in history.
But again, that was my point. That's why I wanted to go first. You're not arguing the phrase. You're arguing the explanation. The phrase is that's the way the world works. So are you saying that we just deal with bullshit? And that's all that description is a separate argument. What I'm saying is, from any point of view, because even if you look at conservative versus liberal arguments, the argument is how can we improve the country? By saying this is how the world works, you're saying we should not do anything more. This is how the world works.
Okay.
That's my point. That's why that phrase does bother me, because you're putting a stop to any change.
Right, but you can't say don't say that's the way the world works because give an example of this and that. The examples they gave.
I would say that the description, the examples, I could go either way depending on the example.
Sure.
But I'm just going strictly by the phrase. This is the way the world works.
I guess, I agree with that.
The explanation,
because then you can't have progress.
Yeah, but the explanation we could dissect bit by bit and argue about. That's why I wanted to go first, saying all that aside, the phrase itself is stop.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I do agree with that.
Just take it. It's the way the world works, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, it was an extreme example. That's why I went to the slave example. Like, we should stop slavery. That's horrible. That's the way the world works.
Go farther back. It's like, hey, we have this crazy Stamp Act. That's just the way Britain works. I mean, just,
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. That's why I think, granted, like I said, those examples, I agree with you that we could pick each thing apart.
Yeah.
And dissect it to its own. Each thing could be its own hour episode.
Yeah.
But the phrase itself, I don't like, because it's like you're just putting an end to the argument.
Well, look who it's coming from, too. It's coming from, if it's a boomer to a millennial. So you have the age difference there. And when you get older, you just don't want to work and you're used to things work in a certain way. And if it changes, then you have to change and then you got to do things different. What? And I don't want to change. Some people don't want to bring their damn bags to the grocery store, and even though they've been doing that in Europe.
No, absolutely.
Since forever, since the World War II. I mean, they've been doing that.
And I'm sure
we can't do that in the military. We can't do that in America.
And I'm sure I'll be a hypocrite in 40 years if I'm still alive. I might be telling them, like, fucking this. It's the way the world works, you goddamn kid. So I get it, but
hey, you know what? Men have penises. It's just the way the world works.
Come on. Number two.
Real
quick, context. I'm sorry, real quick. Forgot. This is phrases that boomers need to stop using according
to millennials.
Okay.
According to millennials. Okay. Number two. Just take whatever job you can get. With raging student loans and high costs of living forefront of their minds.
Where did the quote stop? Just take what you can get? Okay.
Just take whatever job you can get. Cost of living at the forefront of their minds. The fact is that millennials actively looking for higher paying jobs may come off entitled to boomers who came of age in a starkly different job market. However, with the average millennial owing $38,877 in student debt, they simply want to make sure compensation matches the job description.
I have mixed opinions.
Yeah. I do too. It's partly the boomers' terrible way of raising kids to say go to college at whatever cost it is, major in whatever, just go to college, and now they're out of college in tremendous debt, trying their damnedest to get a living wage while working in graphic design, and are mad at it, and it's like they don't understand. And meanwhile, the boomers are like, well, sorry, but you need to start paying off some of this debt. So
yeah, and that's where that's where my mixed opinion is. Like, I'm fortunate. We're all fortunate to where we have good jobs, stable jobs. But if I wasn't in that situation, I could see like where, if I name a major, if I majored in English and I'm like, okay, I want a job that a major in English will get, but there's no jobs available. So what jobs do I have? I have to be I have to work at the gas station, and I'm like, no, like this is what I trained for.
Right.
So part of me is saying, yeah, but until you get that job, go work at the gas station.
Right.
Like the part of me is like, go. It's a shit job that doesn't pay much, but would you rather have a shit job than no job?
Right.
So there is that part of me, but I do empathize with what you just said. Like, yeah, like it let's be honest, like it was a different environment where you could graduate high school, get a job at the gas station, pay your tuition, and be ready to go buying a house by the time you're 25. So it was a different environment. At the same time, I do know some people who like will have a degree in something and then refuse to get a job outside of that degree, even just to survive. It's a very small amount of people.
We ran into a microcosm of that with the shutdown when everyone lost their jobs during the COVID shutdown and stuff started reopening again. A person who was a costume main costume designer for a ballet, hypothetically, just drawing an example out of nowhere. Ballet gets shut down. Now she's out of work. But hey, Del Taco's hiring. It's like, yeah, but I trained and I did all this for this job that I was getting paid really well to do. Do you give up waiting and pursuing that job you had for something just in the meantime that kind of works just to pay the bills? And are you sacrificing effort into your old job in order to just satisfy what you have now? It's a mixed feelings kind of batch.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't think, and I mean, the COVID thing by itself is its own unique situation. But no, I think that is I would overall agree with the millennial on this one. Not that saying that the people shouldn't, because like I said, it's different. Like if you can't get a job, get whatever you can take until you get that job. But what I think that they're getting at is when the boomer says just get what you can take.
Yeah,
it was a different work environment. Because I literally know boomers who like took somewhat shit job. Is that dog on your end, Eddie?
It is.
Okay, sorry. But I literally know boomers. No, you're fine. Who talked about like how they took that job literally at the gas station.
Yeah.
My dad talks about how he paid for his college working at a gas station. He didn't have college debt.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that now?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not hating on the boomers for it. It's a different environment, but like it is different. So just by saying like take what you can get, I agree with it to where like yes, you should take a job until
an extent.
I'm gonna say I could agree with it. Like yeah, get a job to pay for your bills until you get the job you want.
Right.
But I think the boomer needs to be empathetic, saying it's not the same situation.
There is a mentality amongst the millennials that it needs to be ideal, and I think what the boomers are trying to say is, look, perfect is the enemy of the good. Like kind of, you're gonna have to compromise at some point.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Get a job what you can until then. Yeah.
What do you think, Eddie?
Well, and speaking from my point of view, I was completely arrogant after I got my college degree. I had a college degree, and I was getting awards because I was involved. And now it's like, what do you mean you don't want me as a salesman? I don't have any experience. And lo and behold, there was tech support, and I have to clock in, but I do like computers, and it's right down the street, so it's not bad. What happened is that right after 6 months, because you had to be at that position, right after 6 months, I was got immediately into another position that was within my degree, and then did a lateral transfer where I was doing the webpage for the research and development department. So had I not just taken something that was out of scope, I wouldn't have had a job and I wouldn't have got experience. And then moving forward, that same thing happened. I was desperate. I got a job at a call center because I had a call center experience. And then 6 months after that, I got employed by the parent company, not just the apparent company, but executive staff at the apparent company. So I was working under the CEO. So it does work like that. If you've got to get your feet wet. Now, try getting a job in tech support over the phone now. Those jobs are in India.
Yeah.
Try getting a call center pharmacy job. Some of them are here. Most of them are in Ireland or in India. So it is a very different economy. And it's like, okay, you say get whatever job you can get. Okay, so as a hiring manager, and keep in mind right now, this is happening when droves of people are quitting their jobs. This is what I find fascinating.
Yeah.
There's more people quitting than there are positions right now. So it's kind of antithetical to this article. But yeah, okay. So you have a degree. I have a degree in communication. Do you really want, if I'm desperate, take any job you want, right? There's a position for a ranger, a frickin' park ranger. Cool. Well, you don't have forestry experience. And it's like, okay, yeah, but I want to take any job. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get hired for that take anything job.
And you know what? He's right too, because even recently we've tried to hire like a cook at the bar restaurant, and several people have applied, and I looked over their resumes, and like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite because sometimes I'm like, well, how do you get experience without getting fucking experience?
Right.
But we also don't want to hire someone who doesn't. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I'll say it, but like, because on one end I'm like, yeah, you have to get hired to have experience, but at the same time, like, we don't want to hire someone without.
Look, that's just the way the world.
Yeah,
works.
you don't want to take the liability. That's normal.
Yeah, but so this one I think is very complicated. Mm-hmm. So number three.
Number three.
Why are you still renting? The prospect of making a comfortable living and being able to buy a house, who am I looking at right here, in your 20s or 30s isn't just a reality for millennials. I'm going to close the window. A 2017 study conducted by Young Invincibles found that millennials have a median household income of $40,581 and that they earn 20% less than boomers did at that same stage, despite being better educated. And that's not even touching on the wildly inflated housing market. So yeah, it becomes much harder to save money for a home when you're still paying off ridiculously high student loans.
Yeah, I'd agree with this one, actually. I'd be on the millennial side on this one.
I think so too.
I think the prospect of buying property, and this could be my bias of just California in general, but the concept of buying property as a must-do, along with getting married and having kids, it's kind of like, well, it may not be for everyone, and it might not be a, everything does this kind of thing, because it's just not the same world it was 50 years ago.
And that's, I think, the core of it is that it's not the same world. And even if you look at I'm not sure the term, but like, the lifespan issue is that pre-World War II, like, there was a different lifespan. Yeah. Now people are living far longer, to where I remember there was this, I can't remember the article, but I remember I read an article years ago to where even jobs, like kind of Eddie was talking about the jobs that would be available to college graduates aren't available now because people aren't retiring.
Yeah.
Because they're living longer.
Yeah.
So now these jobs aren't available. And so if you can't get a job, and granted, this is all horse shit out of my mouth, but if you can't get a job to where you can buy a house at 25 out of law school, I don't know the numbers, but at any degree, like, of course you're not going to get a house.
Right.
Of course you're going to struggle because those jobs aren't available.
Yeah.
And so, no, I'm with you. I'm millennial on this side.
And even if, you're, especially right now with remote coming in, let's say you move to Colorado or Missouri. Well, people are moving out there. Yeah. Because they can afford the house, and now where's the affordable housing going?
Ooh.
So
I'd been thinking about this for a few years because I'd listened to. Do you guys ever watch Shark Tank? That show Shark Tank?
I haven't.
There's one investor on that. I forget his name, but he's Mr. Wonderful. He's the bald guy, kind of grumpy, always kind of. I forget his real name, but
I could visualize him.
Yeah,
now.
That guy.
Yeah, he was being interviewed on a radio show, and someone had asked him about investing and buying property and stuff like that, and he'd said, and this is what blew me up, because he's like this millionaire guy. He said, I've always rented. I've rented my whole life. I've never bought a house and lived in. It just didn't seem economically viable for me. I didn't need to buy a house. I didn't want to buy a house, so I rented, and it was cheaper. The money I was spending on property, I invested in other places. You don't need to invest and live in property. You can rent your whole life. And I remember thinking, holy shit, that blew my mind.
Because even in granted, like, obviously I'm not one of these people, but like even thinking about it, like a lot of these mortgages are like 30, 40 year mortgages.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a house when you're like 40 years old, what's the difference between renting?
Right.
In reality, what's the
really,
difference between renting? And then not to mention, if you're renting, it might be the same as a mortgage, depending on where you're living as far as monthly.
Yeah.
But now you don't have to worry about taking care of your appliances. You don't have to worry about taking care of the day-to-day upkeep because you have a landlord that pays for that. So in reality, like you just said, depending on the situation, renting might long-term actually be a cheaper option.
Granted, there is the investment side of it. At the end of the 30 years, you have this big ass piece of property that is probably gone up in value that you can now.
Of course, there's pros and cons to both sides. But
so,
what I'm just reinforcing what you're saying. Like depending on how you look at it, renting could be the cheaper option long term.
It's up to you whether you want to do it or not.
It is. It's your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your lifestyle. Well, because in the past, this makes sense. The older you are, because let's face it, except if you're in Spain right now or in Hawaii, God's not making any more land. You got what you have, right? Yeah. So when you want that, and it's in an area that is, that you can commute to work, that there's feasibility in jobs and what have you, then it makes sense. That takes into account the commuter culture. This year, and because of the whole COVID, we're discovering that we don't need to be near these centers of commerce, so we can remote out and live anywhere we want. So I think this is and plus when you get into the housing market these days, if it's like being it's like having a piece of property, commercial real estate, in an area that's highly trafficked. Every business is going to go there because they want the foot traffic.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the same thing when you take out a loan on a house, all these financial agencies are going to take their piece out of it, and that's going to eat into the equity of your property. So in the past, of course, it's one of the most blue chip things you can get. You need a place to put your ass, and you're going to be in it for a long time, and it's going to be yours. And God's not making any more land, so that property is going to increase in value.
Sure.
That being said, if that's your lifestyle, go for it. But if you're kind of like me, it's like, well, I don't know if I want to stay in one place. Yeah. I'm reevaluating that where I live now. But
rent and buy gold. Leave that to your kids.
Exactly, and that's where that one shark was coming from. Yeah. If you know the strategy to invest your money and you can get a better return on it in the stock market, in crypto, in bonds, what have you, in commercial real estate, make that investment there. But don't have it as your sole investment.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Number 4?
Number 4. I think I'm just going to gamble here and say we're all going to agree on this. Number 4, you need to have tougher skin.
Oh, fuck.
We can go right ahead and put this one to bed, because the idea is that millennials are snowflakes who crumble at the smallest advent of adversity or criticism was actually disproved. A study focusing on levels of hypersensitivity found that people in the baby boomer category are generally more sensitive than certain younger generations, including millennials. And you can't argue with science, right?
I was going to say the greatest generation and Generation X can say, look, both you boomers and millennials need to have tougher skin, because holy shit. For a hippie to say to a millennial to have tougher skin is pretty funny.
They're right. But what I've always hated, and you said the snowflake term, what I've always hated about the snowflake term, and again, we'll leave the politics out of it, is that the people who tend to use, like, oh, you're a snowflake, you're overreacting, you're sensitive, blah, blah, blah. But then when they're upset about something and they get overreacted, and they overreacted, they get they overreact and they get all emotional about it. When you say, oh, so are you the snowflake now? They're like, no, I'm just passionate. I'm just there's this issue. And it's like, okay, then just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the tough skin thing. Like, well, Eddie just read it. The tough skin thing, like, everyone has their triggers. This might actually be a trigger of mine, this whole issue. Everyone has their triggers, and everyone does react to them in that way. So to call someone else a name or to get mad, like, just have tougher skin. Like, no, like, everyone I don't care who you are. Everyone is sensitive about something. Everyone is sensitive about something. And so when you react emotionally, are you now the snowflake? Are you now the sensitive person? Or are you just reacting emotionally? And that's where my response, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's like, when it's like, well, you should have tougher skin. As soon as you find that person's weakness, that person's trigger, all of a sudden they're just a passionate, emotional person.
Maybe I would counter with, it is not the boomer generation that is leading the cancel culture right now because they are overly offended by what's going on.
We'll agree to disagree.
I mean, I'd say
I think that could be a different episode.
I'd say that it's the millennial, and that could just be as the generations go on, they pick more things to be offended by. The list of things to be offended by is growing, not so much.
My
diminishing.
counter would be maybe, but just before they didn't call it cancel culture. They called it boycotts.
Okay. Okay, yeah, maybe.
I think most generations are equally sensitive to certain issues. They just went about it differently.
Okay.
That's my main point. Is
yeah. So
when,
it's just
when you do
things.
it, you're wrong and you're a baby.
Right.
When I do it, I'm passionate.
Yeah.
And I just care.
Yeah.
I just care. And that's kind of where my opinion on the just toughening up your skin is. You're not taking responsibility for your own triggers, your own sensitivity.
I mean, you could take it to a literal sense too, is that as generations go on, technology increases and your life gets easier compared to a few generations back where they did have to churn their own butter and they didn't have air conditioner.
When you said literal, I thought like literally their skin was
I mean, they endured winters and their skin was, so they did endure more because their lives were
there might be
easier.
an argument there. And I think there is an argument to where because there are certain luxuries in our lives now, we take more focus on things that we don't need to. I think there's an argument to be had there.
Yeah.
I think that's what you were saying is that since things are easier for us now, we focus on other things that bother us.
No, I mean more like the greatest generation who endured the Great Depression, World War II, and then the Cold War immediately after. They endured a lot of shit compared to millennials today, where we have to deal with the mental trauma of someone using the N-word in front of them and getting, need their safe space and, stuff like that.
So instead of using toilet paper, we're wiping our asses with
straw.
With straw or
straw.
Sandpaper.
Right. And,
Okay.
you need to have a tougher asshole.
Sure. That's an argument.
That's the title for this episode. That's the title for this
No,
episode.
I think it's a discussion, but generally speaking, I think the people who that's an argument. I think the people who say you just need to toughen your skin up, though, tend to be the ones who think that you're just overreacting and not them.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's just anecdotally. There's no science behind that. But I think I've said enough.
Okay. Well, that might be a good discussion for another episode.
I think, and Danny included, when Danny's back from his month-long vacation
sabbatical
in Mexico building hospitals, I think Danny would be good for that one too. I think each one of these could be its own episode.
Yeah. This might be, This might
Number 5.
Spawn a whole series.
Well, okay, let me chime in real quick. We need to have tougher skin. Just give a little view of Karen videos and find out who needs to have tougher skin.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Demographic of
Right.
those people.
That's a great
So
point.
moving on.
It's a great point.
Number 5, I never went to a therapist and I turned out just fine. A study by Sanford Health found that 53% of millennials admitted that health and wellness is a priority in their lives. And who can blame them, considering this generation grew up seeing long-term effects of unhealthy eating, supersize me anyone, excessive smoking, extreme drinking. Millennials also grew up learning about the consequences of unresolved emotional traumas and mental health conditions. So yeah, mental health is a priority.
I would say that this is another different generation, different world kind of thing. Boomers didn't have the therapist, but they had a very different definition of family life. They had a lot more things that I don't think millennials have today. More, I think just there's statistics what percentage of children were born out of wedlock when in the 60s or the 50s compared to now, where it was back in the 40s and 50s, 20% to 30% of kids were born out of wedlock.
A lot of them was more common to be within a marriage.
Whereas today it's 70% of kids are born out of wedlock or something crazy. Don't quote me on that. My stats are stupid, but they didn't have therapists, but they had a mom and a dad. They had a church. They had teachers that gave a shit. They had, different structures, different things. Today, we didn't have all that shit. We had to hire someone to do it for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I'm mixed on this one because I do think I having knowing people, especially through the bar, who are older. In my head, I'm like, wonder how much better a person this would be if they had a fucking therapist.
Right. Yeah.
Because they've dealt with so much shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't available or whatever. But at the same time, I do think that there are people that can take, and it's not shaming those who can't, but there are people who could take traumas, who could take adversity and could take these things and deal with it internally in a healthy way and be fine.
Yeah.
But there are, and I think this is cross-generational, there are those who can't. We both love Bill Burr. How often do you see him talking about his dad?
Yeah.
And how his dad was a fucking crazy asshole.
Yeah.
Like, that guy probably could use some therapy. Bill Burr has said it himself that he probably could have used some therapy as a fucking kid.
Well, Bill Burr has said he's gone to therapy. And he's
exactly, yeah.
And
So this is where I'm mixed on it, because I do think that there are some people, and this is cross-generational, who can deal with traumas and deal with issues without therapy. But you got to think about, especially the greatest generation, the crazy shit they had to deal with World War I. Imagine those guys coming back. No, Grace. I'm sorry, you're right. That was World War II.
Yeah, yeah.
World War II, sure. Previous to that, World War I.
Yeah, holy
those
shit.
guys.
Yeah.
Who dealt with all that shit.
Shell
Imagine,
shock, not PTSD. Shell shock.
well, same thing, different name, yeah. But imagine them coming back and they don't have anyone to talk to. Anything.
Right.
Like, imagine their lives could have been better.
Yeah.
So that's where I have mixed feelings about it, because there are people who can live with it and deal with it without therapy. But imagine all the people in previous generations who didn't have access to it, who really improved by it.
Yeah.
I don't see what the stigma is behind therapy, but then again, I've gone to therapy,
I've
and
gone to therapy.
my cornerstone books are written by Dr. Harriet Lerner, Dance of Connection, Dance of Intimacy, and they're wonderful, wonderful books. It's just extremely healthy, and it's very interesting. Mm-hmm. One of her prefaces says, is on this very topic. It's like, you can go through your life without therapy, just like you can go to Mount Everest without an oxygen tank. It's like, well, okay, Mount Everest is hard enough. Why not have a little help?
Yeah. And I think the stigma is going back. I think a lot of people just have that pride. They don't. I don't need therapy. I'm fine. Like, it's like that pride. But yeah. I think
which is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do in-person therapy. I did. I think I said this before, maybe in the preseason. The most millennial thing I've done is like digital therapy.
Huh.
It was an app that, like, I would talk to them through the app.
Wow.
But it helped.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But no, I think there's a stigma there as far as like ego. But I do wonder, and this is just not, this is a question, like, if therapy and mental health was as accessible in the early 1900s as it is now, how would the world be different?
Yeah.
Very true.
And then the counter to it is, because the counter is, at what point do you stop taking medicine for everything and let your body heal itself, kind of thing too? I mean, there should be readily available. I'm not arguing that there shouldn't be. There should be readily available therapy for people who need it. But at the same time, there also needs to be, and I think this is what boomers are trying to say in a very unhealthy way, is that, like, you're going to have to start dealing with some of your problems on your own rather than going to a therapist for everything.
So I will say this to meet in the middle. I will say, and at least in my case, and this is not everybody, in my case, I went to therapy for a somewhat kind of specific reason. And so then once we got to a point, I was like, I think I'm good.
Right, yeah.
To where I was kind of going through some shit.
Yeah.
And I worked it out. And I know some people, I think Eddie's killing the dog.
Yeah. He's not listening.
Damn dog.
See, he killed it. But no, I think some people do, and I to where this will agree, disagree. I think some people just do deal with depression all the time, where they need therapy all the time.
Right.
Kind of like if you have diabetes, you need to have the medicine all the time. So I think it is. I think that's actually a good comparison to the physical side of health, to where there's some things that you just need the treatment and then you're fine, where other things you do need constant treatment. In my case, I went to therapy for a very specific trauma, in a sense, and then we came to a point where I was like, I feel fine, I feel good, and we parted ways.
Yeah.
Cool. Whereas there are other people who just deal with daily depression who might need that. They might need somebody in there every day. Like, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Like,
I guess what I'm trying to say, and I said it in a very kind of insensitive way, but I guess
I think I know what you're getting.
What I'm saying is that just to be wary of the crutch of,
sure.
I'm sure like even with you, like if you went through a trauma at a certain point, you're like, I could keep going and I could keep feeling better and better. And, but eventually you got to get off the pain meds and, start enduring a little bit.
No, sure. I think I absolutely agree with you. Cause even the pain med's a perfect metaphor, if you will. Cause some people do need pain meds all the time because of their issue.
Right.
But there's others who it's like, okay,
no,
is my broken arm okay now?
Right.
Or can I, no, I get it.
No, anyway.
There's therapy, and then there's the conclusion of the therapy that comes along.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're a doctor and I want my Xanax, no, you don't need it anymore. Okay, I'm going to write a review where you 1 star and you don't treat me how I should be treated. You can give them prescription, or you could be the worst doctor in the world. Number 6, all this pronoun stuff is ridiculous. We could get on our soapbox about gender is a social construct, but let's keep this short and sweet. If you identify as the gender you were assigned at birth and you feel as though your pronouns suit you, great. However, you don't dictate how somebody feels about their gender and their pronouns. So be respectful and use their preferred pronouns. I'm going to go off on this. I do think it's ridiculous.
Hold on, can you just do the title, the phrase again? Because you kind of
just the quote.
Number six. All this pronoun stuff is ridiculous.
Okay.
There are 2 genders. There's male and female.
Dave Chappelle.
Okay, you're one or the other. And okay, how you feel about it, that's fine. You can feel, you could get angry at the sun when it raises and happy when the moon comes out. That's not going to change it either way. It's the feeling. So if I really give a shit and I want, if you give a shit and you're my friend and I know you and you want to be called it, they, Ferry Johnson or whatever, I'm Dr. Monty Cunty when I go to Burning Man, you call them that. But that being said, if I don't know you and you're expecting me to kind of meld to your pronoun, not going to happen. And I'll be happy to have that explanation to you right then and there. Oh, and it gets even better with a couple of beers.
See, I think this harkens back to the tougher skin kind of thing. It's like,
I was thinking the same thing.
You do need to have tougher skin and realizing that sometimes just the way the world is. But
no, I have a mixed opinion on this because I do think like it's kind of like what you said. If I know someone and they want to transition, like I'm not gonna be a dick. I'll call you by the new name, whatever. But like Eddie said, if you do approach me and you're a masculine person and I accidentally call you he or dude and you get offended, like can you really blame me? But no, here's my thing. I've said this before and I'll say it 100 times. My whole MO in life is do what makes you happy. If you're not actively hurting anyone or trying to hurt anyone, I'll fuck with you. Like you're fine. And so with the transgender thing, I mean, we could do a whole another episode on this, but
whole other episode.
Fuck yourself. You're right. But no, that's where I get it. And I'm with the transgender issue in general. I'm very mixed opinion, but with the whole keep your pronouns to yourself, or the whole get over your pronouns thing, I get it to the where if I think it was Patton Oswalt or was it him? Some comic said when my friend shaves their beard, and I see them, I'm like whoa. And so when someone changes their gender, I do think you know what I'm saying. It's whoa. So I do think there should be your sex, your physical sex, male, female. Because if you go to the doctor, you have to say, I am a born male. Because there are health issues that males and females are just different. So that's where I'm you have to hold on to what you were born as for medical reasons and etc. If you're a male who, for whatever reason, wants to live your life as a female, fine. Are you hurting anyone? Do your thing. For me, if that's the way you live your life, I'll call you by your pronoun. Mm-hmm. It literally is maybe a little bit of effort if you look masculine and I accidentally call you he. But
I don't like how the millennial here is kind of trying to trivialize this. It's like, leave your silly pronouns or whatever. They're trying to make it look like the he, she, whatever you are. It doesn't matter, man. It's all fluid. It's, I could be a she from any moment to the next, and it doesn't matter. Whereas the boomers trying to hold on to the fact like, no, this is a clear cut thing here. We can't just do away with these pronouns because it's an important thing.
I was going to agree with you to where like I don't like the fluidity,
right?
Towards because like hypothetically, if you came out and you're like, I feel transgender, I want to go by he or she, her, or whatever, I'd be like, cool, Mitch, I'll do my best. Your name's Michelle now. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. No, I'm like I'll do my best to remember to call you Michelle to refer you as she, her. But if you're like I'm gender fluid, and then day 3 you're like I feel like I'm to be he and him again, I'm like, well. Now you're making it hard for me. Like now you're making it hard for me.
Well, now you're hating me because of that.
But it's like now you're making it hard for me. Like I will support anyone in their life decisions, but there is the transgender issue. We can go on a different thing because, like I said, I have mixed opinions. If whatever makes you happy, do it. I'll do my best to support you.
Yeah. I mean, I do see how it's grayer than they're trying to make it look, but I'm leaning more towards no. I'm not going to do away with the pronouns thing. There's a he, there's a she, and I'm going to have to stick with that.
Okay.
But I do kind of agree with Eddie. Is like, look, if it's a friend and it's someone I know, but then again, if I meet someone who looks like a dude and I call him a dude and they get mad because it's a she, I'll be like, well,
that's what Patton Oswalt I think said was like if you. Well, not exactly what he said, but like, yeah, if you, and I've made the mistake before where I've called a transgender female, I'd said like, all right, thanks, man. And I'm like, oh,
whoops.
But you can't be upset. And that's what, I guess you could say the thicker skin. Like you can't be upset if you do have masculine features.
Yeah.
And you're a transgender female. Like I support you for living the way you want to live, but you can't be mad if someone does say that by accident or just instinct.
Yeah.
By instinct. Like there are masculine features that biological males have. Same with biological females. Like you can't be mad if someone gets confused by it.
Yeah.
And
well, anyway, I think we could talk all night.
Each one of these, we should make a note of this.
Well, it's so culturally imperialistic too. If you go to Nigeria, if you go to Namibia, if you go to Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Korea, Russia, are you going to expect that they're going to treat your pronouns the same way? What if they conjugate them differently? They do have a she or he.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them that too?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to kick your ass?
Well, that's why we're the USA, Eddie.
Exactly.
We don't do that.
Exactly. We don't go to other countries. We stay here and get coddled.
We wave our rainbow flag, fool.
That's right. Number 7.
flags.
Can you explain cryptocurrency and NFTs? We get that millennials are the generation that ushered the technology age, but the concept of cryptocurrency and NFTs is way too complex and trips up even the most tech-savvy, digitally in-tune millennials. Some of us peaked during customizing your MySpace background era, so we stop asking. We really don't know.
This is the boomer saying, can you explain crypto?
Right.
I am team boomer. 100%.
Team boomer. Next one.
Well, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You were in a church that was in the 1200, and there's been banking that's been gone on long before that. So if you can't transport gold, but you need to have funds in Egypt, how do you do that? Well, you write a note that says that, knowing that the gold's going to be there, and there's so much gold in this one place that the government has to control it. So we've had government determining economic policy throughout history. And
I don't know what side you're taking right now.
I'm taking the side that this is a new technology and it's revolutionary.
So yeah,
so you're team millennial right now.
No, he's team boomer.
So boomer was saying no, but boomer's saying what the hell is crypto?
The boomer is saying, can you explain it to me? Because I need to know.
But Eddie knows it. I thought you understood it.
Yeah.
I did. I am. I'm explaining it.
So he's the millennial. We're the boomer.
I'm saying that the millennial wants to stop hearing it because they don't want to explain it. Eddie is
because they don't know. At the end of it,
the boomer's saying, "Can you explain it to me?"
Era stopped asking. We really don't know. Is how that segment.
Oh, what the
ends.
fuck?
Oh, so the millennials saying they don't know.
Millennials don't know, and boomers want it explained to them.
Okay.
Oh, so
But it
we're
is
both the boomer and the
revolutionary.
We're both, you and I are both.
I'm completely anti-crypto. We've had in the preseason we had the conversation. I think you lost your mind when Eddie and I kept going back and forth.
I did. I took my shirt off.
It does make sense, and it's going to take some adoption, just like a credit card did, just like Samsung Pay and Apple Pay.
Right.
Sure.
This is going, and it's
I
going to be
understood
very,
those.
very
Just
interesting.
like a note of writ. This is just our generation's note of writ. The first time they started saying, look, I'm writing this piece of paper that represents money, you have a peasant farmer who's like, what in the hell are you talking about? That
All right,
makes
that's
no
fair.
sense.
That's fair.
Exactly.
So-
Or it's rocks,
Yeah.
or it's, or it's haircuts or something. It has to be denominated against something. But you're taking that power away from government. So what happens when governments aren't in charge of monetary policy anymore?
Right? Yeah.
What's the next one?
Next one. Last one. We're going to be here all
Well,
night.
it is a revolution, and yeah, you can tell I'm balls deep, head into it.
I know.
And, yeah. I started off, I went to an altcoin meetup. Anyways, okay, final 8 and final. You are a little too obsessed with your dog. First of all, that's my son, and that was rude. Secondly, this generation is taking their time when it comes to having children. Dogs and cats are the next best thing if plants aren't cutting it. If plants aren't cutting it, give me the matching Halloween costumes and canine ring bearers.
Fuck millennials.
So hold on.
I'm Team Boomer on
So
this
no,
one.
I was actually Team Millennial until I heard the description. Because they're like, you're too obsessed with your dog. What's the joke? It's like, and this is our generation with our parents, where it's like, the dad's like, we don't need a dog. And then you get a dog, and
Yeah,
the
then
dad's
he's
like,
obsessed
that's
with
my
the dog.
fucking dog.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
the pet obsession goes across generational lines. But then once you started reading the description, I was like, no, I was Team Millennial going into it. And then the description, I was like, this is a horrible description.
Yeah, it's the comparison to a dog to a person, and it's that I immediately
Well, of course,
reject. Reject.
that's where I'm saying, like, I was when they're like, you're too obsessed with your dog. It's like every fucking old person I know,
Yeah.
if they got
Yes.
a dog,
Oh,
that would be
yep.
their life.
So this
That
isn't
is their world.
This is not a generational thing. This is a people thing of just
Yeah.
obsession with pets.
The person who wrote this just butchered it in the description.
Yeah.
I was on board, and then they just ruined it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're too obsessed
the
obsessed
easier,
with your
the
dog.
better description would have been, quote, you're too obsessed with your dog, end quote. Excuse me, everyone's been obsessed with their dog since the Egyptians worshipped cats. Go fuck yourself,
Yes.
all right? I love my
Very
dog.
true.
And yeah,
I still remember my dad was so growing up. He was so like we would get like a cat. Oh, you got the fucking cat now? You got a cat? You better take care of it. And then one of our cats got like gashed in the gut.
yeah.
My dad took it to the vet. My dad was like, "Well, we have to pay for it to get healed,"
God, yeah.
and kept it in the house. Like,
Yeah. So,
no, like,
yeah. So it's not generational.
And my dad was boomer as fuck. Like,
So not generational, but I agree with the boomer in that if picturing this boomer that isn't obsessed with their pets, people who are obsessed with their pets need to calm down.
that's fair.
True.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
also
when-
wary of this
in-
person.
In your 20s, when you couple up in your 20s and she wants a dog, that dog is going to be the baby until the actual baby comes along.
Right.
Or
Sure.
that's what the
Or
expression is.
until
Transmuting that material.
until company comes over, because I hate those people that are like, excuse me, my dog sits on the couch and you're just company. Anytime I'm like, fuck that, it's a dog. It's a dog. I'll eat your dog. I don't care.
Whoa.
Your dog will eat you. Your dog will eat you if you die
Yeah.
and there's no food in the house.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
You're the main course.
I
and there's
remember
been
being
instances-
horribly disturbed hearing about this survey of like of asking people. It was like one of those on the street, interview kind of things.
Oh, okay.
If you saw a total stranger in the middle of the ocean and your dog in the middle of the ocean, you only have time to save one of them because they're drowning. Which would you do? And people were like honestly thinking about it, like, oh, I love my dog, and it's just a complete stranger. And I remember losing my mind, thinking that's human life. It's human life and a dog. What do you?
You would hate the website that the dog. What's the website? Does the dog live? I think
Oh god. Okay.
there's a website that pretty much is dedicated to listing movies where the dog dies or lives.
Oh god. Okay.
And all this is highlighting is emotional attachment.
It
If it's a
is.
stranger, somebody you do not have to have an emotional attachment with versus a complete stranger that may be human, but you don't know them from Adam.
Right.
So you're going to go with emotional attachment. it's understandable. Is that humane? Is it right? Well, in that and that's theoretical. That's sitting in a chair in California, not on the Titanic,
That
where
is-
somebody's yelling help at you.
They call that philosophy,
Hey,
Exactly.
On that note.
ethics.
That's
So
a good list.
here's what we're gonna do.
All right.
So we're gonna cut here.
Okay.
I'm gonna split this into 2 episodes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, and we could just say it right now. Like I cut, we're not cut. This is going to be a second episode aside, because it should be. So this is going to be both the intro and the outro.
Nice.
So welcome to Fake Philosophers.
Hey, we haven't been
Hey.
here. We haven't been here all night.
We were talking about comments, and we were talking about a list of things that Americans can't live without. Now,
Take
We're-
that again. You mumbled on that. A list of things that Americans
a
can't.
list of things that Americans can't live without, according to non-Americans. And then we decided to start reading a list of things that Eddie found.
So, things that boomers need to stop saying to millennials, according to millennials.
And so that's going to be the second episode.
Boom.
And we'll see how it's edited.
I love it. Hey, good luck. I mean, that's it.
Because this was one extremely long session that no one's going to watch if it's this long.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to cut it in 2.
All right. We know Mitch's list is we got to come up with like Eddie's something.
Edibles.
Eddie's edibles. Oh, okay.
Because we just eat into it.
We just eat right into it. Yeah.
That's right.
I wish we-
I just thought of that.
I
I was
sure
thinking
hope-
of underwear.
I sure hope we expand on these points that Eddie's about to read off.
We should.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me get these first the article.
go for it, Eddie.
Okay.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us to the 9 of you. Hopefully 10 or 11 now.
Yeah.
Mary, Ryan, Yay Teddy, Tim,
Teddy. Whatever, Ryan Martin, whatever. Who is
Ryan hasn't listened.
it? He needs to get back.
He needs to.
Yeah.
To all the bots,
Thank you for listening.
thank you. Let's hear your thoughts. This is a very intriguing episode.
Very.
Let's hear your
Very.
thoughts.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
I gotta pee.
Take care. Go pee.